Bridget goes for the delights of Noosa.
Just the place for a great holiday.
And rediscovers sculptures in Broken Hill. While Annie takes you to exotic Beijing.
Bingo in Chinese.
Don't just dream about it, do it on Prime's Great Outdoors.
Highway robbery claims the government stealing from the New England to pay for the Pacific. Gunnedar's no-frills mayor survives a no-confidence vote. And Tamworth's connection with the fine cotton scandal. Good evening. Also tonight, a young man from the target of a home invasion in Tamworth, a farmer clearing his best land to beat Set 46, and Armadale's champion runner, Sean Crichton, returns home. Funding for the New England Highway may suffer following moves by the federal government. Local members fear the government's new $2.5 billion funding announcement for the Pacific Highway is nothing more than an election propaganda.
Paul Keating was in Tweed Heads yesterday to announce the new Pacific Highway funding, $2.5 billion over 10 years, including $1 billion from the New South Wales government. The move will be a major boost to the government in the marginal seats of Page and Richmond in the lead up to the federal election.
People may remember that there was a promise made at the last state election to complete the Walker-Gloucester Road. That promise hasn't been delivered thus far, so there'd have to be severe doubts expressed as to another promise.
$100 million of the federal government's initial funding has been transferred from the National Highway Program, prompting fears that roads like the New England Highway will now suffer. The New England Highway is the state's major transport route, raising fears that if funds are diverted, the accident rate will only increase.
There is a continued need for the upgrading of the New England Highway, and I'm very disappointed if that should be so. I had not heard that, and to my mind, that is a breaking of the commitment of the federal government in a way which is quite unacceptable.
Mr Windsor says the funding is available elsewhere.
Road users are paying a massive amount in federal fuel tax, and a very small proportion of that is actually getting back to roads.
Transport Minister Laurie Brereton says the new funding is separate and the New England Highway won't be affected. Scott Beveridge, Prime Local News.
A 21-year-old Warrior man was killed last night after his trail bike hit a tree. The man left home on his bike mid-afternoon and was found in a critical condition near Mosquito Creek Road at 10:15 last night. He was taken to Warrior Hospital with severe head and chest injuries. The man died in hospital at 2 this morning. Following an emotional council meeting in Gunnedah, the mayor of just 3 months has survived a vote of no confidence. Noel O'Brien says the motion was prompted by conspiracy and long-running jealousies and his outspoken attitude to cutting council costs. We first met Noel O'Brien when he was elected mayor of Gunnedah in September, not an office executive, but a linesman working at the top of power poles. That's not the only thing he does differently. He decided not to take advantage of the perks of a mayoral car, so this $40,000 Ford Futura will be sold. Mayor O'Brien drives his own vehicle around town and to council meetings. It happens to be a 15-year-old blue Datsun Ute. In Gunnedah, it's already been dubbed the mayoral Ute. Councillors used to eat at the town's best restaurant and now have sandwiches around the meeting table. It's because of his no-frills approach to being mayor that's ruffled feathers in the past and came to a head yesterday.
It's a transition from the old council to the new council. I think it was a carryover as a result of issues going back years relating to the abattoirs. The fact that a person of my calibre or my standing would dare take the mayoral position.
The no-confidence vote was put forward by councillors Gay Swain and Steve Smith. Noel O'Brien survived the motion to remove him by 6 votes to 4. Veteran councillor Bill Clegg refusing to cast a vote. But Mayor O'Brien says he holds no animosity.
No, by no means. I mean, that vote was taken in public because they had some reservations about me or my abilities, and I think that's finished.
A semi-trailer lost part of its load of pavers on the Oxley Highway between Tamworth and Gunnedah yesterday afternoon, causing a following petrol tanker to swerve off the road and hit a car. No one was injured in the accident, and the driver of the tanker has been commended by police for managing to avoid a worse collision.
The accident occurred just before 6 yesterday afternoon when a paver flew off the back of a truck heading towards a following car. The car, travelling at around 80 kilometres an hour, braked suddenly. A petrol tanker following it braked in turn, but jackknifed, clipping the sedan and spinning it around. The tanker ended up off-road with an estimated $10,000 worth of damage caused by the jackknife. This was one of the pavers the truck was carrying. It proved to be a dangerous missile when not properly secured. No action has been taken against the semi-trailer driver. Police said he'd secured his load properly. The pavers came loose just by chance. By chance also, the petrol tanker was not loaded. The driver said he would not have been able to avoid hitting the car if the tanker had been full. Police praised the tanker driver, saying his actions helped avoid a potential disaster.
Yeah, I think the truck driver has done remarkably well, and I do believe he saved probably at least 3 lives, including his own.
Roads had to be blocked off while the tanker was towed back onto the highway. Emma Griffiths, Prime Local News.
A 27-year-old woman has been menaced at her home on the outskirts of Tamworth today by 2 men demanding money. The men were both wearing stockings over their heads and escaped with a few $100s.
Just before 1 o'clock this afternoon, the woman heard a noise at her back door and went to investigate, finding 2 men with their faces covered by stockings.
And they've demanded money from her and made threats against her. She's gone inside and found some money, given it to them. They've driven off in a blue-coloured station wagon.
She gave them all she had, a few $100. Police are looking for 2 men. Descriptions are sketchy, but one was tall with a medium build, the other small and thin. They escaped in a mid-blue colour station wagon with a green bonnet. The men were last seen headed towards Moore Creek down the Moore Creek Road. Police are continuing their search for the robbers tonight. Emma Griffiths, Prime Local News.
A Moree district grazier has gone to extraordinary lengths to avoid his property coming under SEP 46 land clearing legislation. Robert Anderson says he had no option but to plough up his best pasture land.
Moree farmer and grazier Robert Anderson was today ploughing up his best grazing land, all because he can't afford to see if changes made to grasslands under SEP 46 will come to fruition.
But if it still comes in with a 10-year count back on ploughing up regrowth, which I'm told also includes pasture, we would not be allowed to plough up.
The changes to the state government's SEP 46 were announced last week and now allow landholders to farm grasslands, but they won't become firm until February 16. By that time, his 100-hectare stand of prime pasture would be covered under the legislation. Although he can apply to the Department of Land and Water Conservation to plough up the land, he's not confident of success. Mr Anderson sees today's exercise as an unfortunate casualty of the legislation.
Just says how absolutely futile this legislation is, that if more forethought had gone into drawing it up in the first place, you wouldn't have situations like this occurring.
Mr Anderson says he was left with little option. He was even recently presented with an award for promoting and protecting the grassland he's today ploughing up. But Mr Anderson fears the government will renege on last week's changes. If that was to occur, he would be unable to use the land in future for any cropping, a risk he's not prepared to take. Damien Ryan, Prime Local News.
RTA workers will have to get their lunch from elsewhere after their mobile meal van was incinerated last night. The van was parked in the RTA Tamworth depot, and it's believed a light that was left on exploded.
Around 8 o'clock last night, and a workman living near Tamworth's RTA depot heard noises nearby. When he ran to investigate, he saw a caravan well alight. It took Tamworth and West Tamworth Fire Brigade 30 minutes to extinguish the blaze. The 7x3 metre lunch van for the Roads and Traffic Authority was completely incinerated. Firefighters believe the pilot light of the gas fridge was left on. For some reason the light exploded and the lunch van went up in flames. While this caravan will never serve another meal, the RTA was lucky the van was empty at the time. But the damage bill still runs at $15,000. Sonia Wilkes, Prime Local News.
A new plan to cut the holiday road toll, that story coming up after the break, and Moree's majestic wetlands come alive again after years of drought. Dismissed workers at Tamworth Blue Gum Daycare Centre were finally paid today. The owner refused to come and negotiate with the former staff, sending their pay by courier to the picket line. Workers and their unions have been picketing since last Friday. An anonymous man came to hand over the pays on Tuesday, but with no records or authorisation to do so, unions wouldn't accept them. Today the checks arrived, but unions say a couple of the pay packets were incorrect. The picket line will form again on January 8 in an effort to be reinstated under a new owner. Reducing the holiday road toll is again the focus of police action and campaigning this holiday season. And this time the Peel Police District is targeted with a new awareness campaign jointly established by the Roads and Traffic Authority and police.
The new campaign in the Peel Police District was launched today, aimed at raising people's awareness of the dangers of drink driving, fatigue and speeding. Nearly 50 signs have been erected throughout the region, reminding drivers to be aware of the dangers when driving long distance and at high speeds. The Roads and Traffic Authority have paid for the signs, which cost $58,000, and they say it's a worthwhile investment.
We have provided the funding for the signs, and we're happy to work with police to ensure the safety of the road user.
Car accidents and deaths cost around $8 million annually in terms of injury claims, workers' compensation and time lost. But police say part of their job is to ensure drivers get from A to B in one piece. A timely example of the dangers of driver fatigue, an accident on Scott Road in Tamworth today caused by exactly that. Police say the driver on his way to Brisbane from Wagga Wagga was simply nodding off when the accident occurred.
The main thing is nobody was seriously injured, so.
The new campaign will run until the year 2000, a desired outcome for all, a nil road toll. Senior Constable Renee Marguerite from Tamworth Highway Patrol says the campaign's designed to save lives.
Well, the desired outcome obviously would probably be a utopian thing where nobody has accidents and everyone gets to where they're going safely.
Emma Griffiths, Prime Local News.
The Urella firm has clinched a deal which could see the local economy boosted by millions of dollars. It's designing unique four-wheel drives to use in the Hunter Valley coalfields, while they're unlike any other paddock basher you've ever seen.